Slide didn't want to go forward. Sorry about that. So first off, just a little bit about the GoToWebinar panel. You're going to see that on the right side. It's usually on the right side. If you want to pop that out of the way to see more of the presentation, you just click that little orange arrow. And if you want it to pop back out, you'll want to do that if you want to ask a question. You just do that by popping it right into this questions pane and hitting send. We ask that you submit your questions this way because we've got a lot of great content. We want to leave plenty of time at the end for Q&A, and we want to make sure our presenter doesn't get guided down any rabbit holes. So if you don't mind just popping those in there, I will be collecting those behind the scenes and then feed those to our presenter at the end. And we will make sure to do our best to get to every single one of them, but please do bear in mind that if your question is not responded to, if we do come up against our time, or if there are just conversations that do tend to go a little bit further than just a simple answer, we are more than happy to take those questions offline. I will absolutely be getting you the information of our presenter today. You'll have access to her via email. We can even set up a quick call if necessary. So no problems there. Just want to make sure that even if your question is a little bit more involved, we will absolutely make sure to address it. And I do know that most of the, looks like most of the names on here are very familiar to Encore. However, we do see a couple of new ones. So just quickly about us. We've been serving Microsoft Dynamics customers for over 25 years. We're one of the gold partners in Canada, and we've got over 130 certified professionals across Dynamics, AX, GP, NAV, Dynamics 365, Power BI, and quite a few other areas. As a cute list of our awards over there to the right, we've had a lot of great accolades, not only from Microsoft, but also from other very well-known organizations throughout the country. And then also the solutions we provide. I know that a lot of you on the call are familiar with those applicable to you, but you might not know that we also have quite a few offerings in BI, which is something that we're going to talk about today. We also a lot of deep expertise in various areas of ERP and CRM. So we can absolutely talk to you about any of these others if you're curious. As I said, you'll be getting some contact information after this presentation, as well as the link to the recording and contact information about just for different resources. So please feel free to use those if any of these do look interesting to you. And some of our locations. I don't know if many of you know that Encore just acquired another company out of the Pacific Northwest US. So we now have locations in Winnipeg, Canada, which is our headquarters, Calgary, Vancouver, and now Seattle and Portland. So we are serving quite a good geography, but we are absolutely home and heart is in that southern Canada, Pacific Northwest area. And today's presenter, Tracy Santos. I think maybe some of you do know Tracy. She's an excellent resource to talk about Office 365 amongst many other topics. She's one of our account executives here, and I do have her information there, but I will absolutely be following up with a bit more when we conclude. Tracy, just want to make sure your audio sounds good. Can you hear me okay? Nope, you might be muted. Are you there, Tracy?
Oh, I'm here. Sorry, I didn't know if you're asking the audience or me. I apologize. I am here. Yes.
Not a problem. I'm going to hand this presentation over to you. You're going to see that window pop up.
Great. Thanks, Jess. Great. Can everyone see my Office 365 screen?
Yep, that looks great.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks, Jess. So last time we got together, good afternoon, everyone. Super excited to present to you today on some more items for Office 365. Last day when we were together, I kind of ran out of time. I think I chose too many topics to try and cover in that short amount of time. So today I'm really sticking to two main areas with some additional information, as well as maybe reviewing a few of the things that we talked about last day. As I was preparing for this webinar today, I was really thinking about explaining and being able to provide information around why we would move from our normal on-premise Office applications that we've had historically in all of our organizations to Office 365, which is a subscription-based service. Last day we did talk about lots of the great functions and features that it can provide depending on your licensing. And I was really thinking about something today that I had read many years ago, moving from busy to productive. And that really resonated with me when I think about Office 365 and how do I move from being busy to being productive. Oftentimes when we work in silos or we work in applications that can't communicate with each other, we find ourselves doing the work maybe twice or three times, or entering something again, or sending out something, or now I send Jess a file and Jess puts it on her laptop, and I send that same file to Melissa and she saves it on her laptop, and then I make a change and I have to go email that again, and all of a sudden there are 75 versions or copies of that same file. Now, wouldn't it be easier if we could just all work on that same file? So those are the types of benefits when we think about moving from our traditional Outlook or Office products to Office 365, because we can look at these products and they all communicate effectively with each other, which is really, really important, and we want to become much more productive, because we know that data is coming fast and furious and our companies are growing and we need to be able to manage that information. So today I'm going to start with, I don't have PowerPoint today, everyone's going yay and clapping. We're going to just go directly into demo, but I just wanted to chat a little bit about Teams. So I'm going to start with Microsoft Teams, which basically takes a variety of components of the apps within Office 365 and combines them together. And using Teams, Microsoft Teams, can really increase your productivity and allow us to move from being busy to be productive. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview about this before I start with the demo. So trends in collaborative teamwork. So again, Microsoft doing research on how people work. So as your business becomes increasingly global and cross-functional, silos are breaking down. So we talked about those silos. Connectivity is increasing and teamwork is becoming key to organizational success. Employees are on twice as many teams as 5 years ago. The amount of time employees spend in collaborative work, in meetings, on phone calls, or answering emails has increased by about 50%. Perhaps even more significantly, this kind of work now takes up 80% or more of the employees' time. So you can imagine how many meetings you would have in a week, or how many conference calls you have, or when you have to fly somewhere for a meeting. So in addition, teams are increasingly a mix of employees and outside vendors. Teams have remote members, either working from home, on the road, or because they are in different geographical regions. So again, just as your company grows, you'll come across those opportunities to how do you enable your resources to work in a collaborative way. And I'm really going to try and say collaborative correctly this time. I listened to the video and I couldn't pronounce it last time, so I'll work on that. So that's why Microsoft came up with Teams. So Microsoft Teams is a chat-based workspace in Office 365 that addresses these trends. Microsoft Teams gives team members easy access to the information they need in a dedicated hub designed from the ground up for teamwork. The modern-day chat environment keeps everyone in the know and complete chat history, whether across a team or in a private chat. So again, all of that information is there. You don't have to go searching and looking through emails or trying to remember what that phone call was about. When we're having those conversations, they can be recorded and reviewed later, and that chat history is available. In Microsoft Teams, everything that a team needs, chat, content, people, and tools, all live in the same team workspace. So it's easy access to everyday apps the team relies on, such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and it's integrated with Office 365, giving you quick access regardless of what device they're using. So again, it's device agnostic, allowing you to work from anywhere that you might be with your device. So I just want to touch on security. So lastly, Microsoft Teams provides a great collaboration experience while upholding our commitments to safeguard customer and user data. Microsoft Teams was designed with compliance, authentication, and privacy in mind, with support for industry standards, strong security measures including two-factor authentication, hard passwords, and access policies. Your data is always encrypted, whether it is in chat, notes, or files. In short, it's your data, you own it, and you control it. I think that is very important. People are often wondering about that. Hey, if I'm going to go up into the cloud and use Office 365, what about my data and how am I protected? So again, we'll make sure we emphasize that, and that's really important. So I wanted to just show you the couple of different interfaces for Microsoft Teams. So the person I'm going to be working as today, we all remember her from last time, Megan Bowen. That's who I am today. And one of my team members is Lydia. So Lydia has access Teams from Google. So she's using Google as her internet access point. I don't want to say Internet Explorer, but that's how she's accessing the information on the internet, and she likes using Google. And so there's Lydia there. Now, for example, Megan today, Megan could go in through her Office 365 interface and go ahead and click on Teams, but she's actually loaded the desktop app for Teams. So she's going to be using that today. So again, that ability to have it on your desktop as an application, on your phone, on your tablet, using whichever browser that you might want to use. So just a little bit about Microsoft Teams, how it's available. So it's available to Office 365 commercial customers with Business Essentials, Business Premium, Enterprise E1, E3, and E5 plan. So again, if you have any questions about your licensing or want to know more, or you're interested in getting Office 365, I hope that you'll reach out to us so we can help you out with that. So again, it runs on Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, and web platforms, and it can be accessed in a browser or the desktop application, which we just saw there for those two different personas. They were able to access it either way. So today I'm Marketing Manager Megan Bowen, and I'm keeping my team busy, focused, and productive with Microsoft Teams. The range of access options allow the team to collaborate from anywhere. So project team member Lydia Holloway prefers using Teams through her web browser as she works on the go, while Megan uses the desktop application, which we saw. So we can go ahead. And we're going to go ahead and go ahead and create a team. So I'm on here, and I can create a new team, add members, channels, conversations, and content, and it's closely integrated with Microsoft Groups. When a team is created, a corresponding group is also created. Likewise, if you have an existing Microsoft group, you can associate a team and retain your existing group content. Megan recently became manager of a major product launch initiative and would like to pull together a team. She creates a new sales project team and invites some team members. So again, there's a variety of ways you can do that. So from here, I can go ahead and say Teams and right-click and say Create Team, or I can go and say Add a Team. So we're going to go ahead and create a team. And then we need a name. So we'll go ahead and create a name for this, and we'll call it Sales Project Team 1. And I'm going to put a description in here. So again, if anyone's looking at that, they'll understand what this team is all about. And I spelled that wrong. I could have used the correct there, couldn't I? And discussions for members of the sales project team. So again, lots of free-form text that you can put in there, and I spelled that wrong again. I don't know why I'm so nervous today. Privacy. So again, you've got that ability, as we were talking about earlier, is Microsoft Teams can be for internal, or maybe I'm working with some external customers or vendors. So I can determine, is it private and only I can add members, or can anyone in my organization be able to do that? So again, it recognizes me as the admin, and so I want to go and say, yes, I want to add the Microsoft Teams functionality. So this is a very cool component of this, allows me to determine, I've got some other groups, and where do I want this be able to be part of that group, and as well as teams. So I can go ahead and it's going to go ahead and create that team. Go ahead and got that, and so we've got create that. Now we need to go and add some members. So I want to add some people to this group. So who's going to be in my group? Well, I think I'm going to add Alex. and Lydia and Isaiah. And I can simply add that. Now I can add as many members as I want, and it can be already added. So they already are on that team because I've done this before. So they're already there. And we can go ahead and go back to our product launch group. And now we want to start a new conversation because we're just starting off this group, and I want to welcome everyone here. So I'm going to go and say hello and welcome to the new sales project team. We can use this area to collaborate. I guess I don't have to worry about the spelling mistakes. So there, I can go ahead and send that off and press enter. And so it's a new message. Now if I go over and I click on Lydia's interface, we can see right away that there's a new conversation. Go back to my team's product launch event. We've got lots of messages going on here. There we go. So we've got messages going back and forth between Lydia and Megan. So again, that updates that right away, and we can respond back and forth. So I'm going to go back to my marketing conversations. So here's my conversations, and we were able to go and welcome people, and Lydia responded back to me. Then I was able to say, great, well, I want to be able to share out some content with Lydia as well. So we went and we shared out a PowerPoint presentation with her as well. So the ability to communicate back and forth on those teams and that content conversation is available back and forth. So I'll show you how we went ahead and put in that information in there. So, and I also had a phone call with her, so I can go ahead and start this new conversation. When you're in a conversation, you can actually go and edit that conversation as well. So if you wanted to edit it, make some changes there. You also may be doing a new conversation. You actually want to have a to meet now. So instead of me messaging back and forth, I can go ahead and say, great, I want to have a meeting. You can turn your camera on or off. You could also schedule a meeting from here. So for example, maybe I want to meet now. I can add my subject. Or I can go and schedule a meeting. So you've got the ability to meet now or schedule a meeting. So if I click on meet now, it's going to go off and start Skype. And I'm going to be able to go and communicate out to Lydia back and forth. So I'm just going to end that call because we're not going to have the call right now. But again, it keeps track of that. So all of our perhaps that we're working on a project together, we're on this team. I've shared out a PowerPoint with you. I want to get some feedback on that. I can have a phone call with you. You can also add in different applications. So for example, I loaded Asana to be part of this team so that I could keep track of activities and tasks that were done. So we can go in and we'll just go in and we'll show you how to go and add some additional applications so that you can share out things. So for example, if you had, it could be SurveyMonkey, or it could be different social media type applications. You can connect that with your team so you can get feedback immediately from that. As well as my conversations, I can upload files. So here I uploaded that PowerPoint file so that the team has access to it. So again, instead of emailing out that PowerPoint application or saving it, now I could save it on OneDrive and share that out, but when I come to this marketing team, I know that all the assets that I need to carry out my work are all available to me here. So all available right there from that team site. I won't bother opening that. Oh, that's right. That's what I was going to show, right? So you can actually go and create this as a tab. So again, I don't have to come in and look at the file list. So perhaps, oftentimes I might have a list of a variety of different files here. So instead of having to search or hunt through that list of files, I actually can make a tab. The tab is actually that PowerPoint. So again, now I can have that file, whether it be a PowerPoint document, a Word document, Excel file, where we can actually collaborate here directly on that new tab that is that PowerPoint application. So again, that conversation is carried in the conversation tab, but now we can actually collaborate and work on this together. Launch planning. So I began another conversation about launch planning, and I added tasks here. So I created to-dos. So now I've got, not only were we working together on a PowerPoint application presentation, but I also created another component of the team was launch planning, and so I can add in my tasks. So I create a new task, and I can set a due date on that. So perhaps I'll make it for Friday, and I want to assign it to someone. I'm going to assign it to Alex. Thank you, Alex. And Lydia's got her task here that is due on a certain day. And it is in progress. So this particular activity is due on the 10th, and it's been assigned to Alex. Don't assign it to anyone else. Great, so we've been able to add in some tasks, and we're going to go and look at back to our conversations. Our activity here. I'm going to go and add a tab here. So this is what I want to show you, where we can add in those other applications. So for example, I added that PowerPoint file as one of the tabs. But again, here are the other things I can connect with. So for example, if I wanted to connect with Hootsuite, or maybe I want to connect with Jira in the cloud or SurveyMonkey. So there's lots of social media as well as different types of planning boards or activity boards, for example, Asana, that can connect to different applications, websites, etc. So yes, we've got our normal type of Excel and PowerPoint, Planner, Word, OneNote that we can attach, but we can also attach other applications into my particular team board. So that's where you would add those tabs there. And here I've got I've attached the planner, which is also part of Office 365, so that, for example, even though I've got these variety of teams, I can go to a planning board and see all of the activities that need to be done for this particular team, as well as all the other planning boards. I could look at everything all together. Sometimes I get so excited about doing these demos, I get lost in my notes here, and I want to make sure I haven't missed out any of these great components. So I want to just touch base back on those connectors. So in addition to services like Planner, Microsoft Teams is integrated with a wide selection of project management apps, social feeds, and data visualization tools via connectors. So that's the connector we were just on. So for example, I can connect to Twitter or RSS feeds or Asana. So we had brought up the task from Asana and Visual Studio Team Services, where the team was tracking various project-related activities. So although they were updating it in Visual Studio, it would update it here in Teams. So connectors put updates directly into the chat stream for a service like Asana that gives team visibility into when tasks are added or completed. So third-party services can also be added as tabs, allowing team members to interact with the service directly within the Teams interface. So again, there's no limitation to how many services you can add as a tab into that team. I'm going to go back here. We were on Teams. Now I'm going to go over to Chat. And I can click on New Chat. Here are some chats that I've already had with different people that I've been working with. So up here for searching, there's a couple of things here that are great to have in the chat stream, is the ability to search for a particular conversation that you had, or I can start a new chat. So I'm going to, again, it can be an individual, it could be a group. So again, instead of me having to go and email or communicate instant message with a variety of people individual, I can put a group in here, or I can have a private. So it can be a group chat, or it can be individual. So, oh, Alex, poor Alex, I keep misspelling your name. And I'm going to communicate with a few of the people that are on the team. And then type in my message. So as we type that in, if I go in and look at the other profile, which was Lydia, there's a bit of a lag there because that was the one I had sent earlier. There's a bit of a lag, but it would show up obviously in her conversation stream so that she would know what was going on. And remember, we talked about last session is that when an activity happens, we could create flow. So for example, if Lydia knew she was going to be in a meeting and wasn't going to be able to kind of be working on her team site, we could send her a text message or to her mobile device or alert her in another way that there was an update there. So again, you've got that ability to group chat in a team or individually. So we can keep checking in with Lydia, and she would be able to either get a notification, we can send a flow to notify her if she's not available on her device. And we got lots of great ability there. Now, this is very interesting. I was using this. We can put in a question. So I'm going to put a question in, and I'm going to put the same question I already asked, but so I can say, how do I start a video call? And then when you type your question in, the T-bot is going to go and find out some help for you. So again, when we're typing in that question, I can, through chat, Megan, myself, also has help learning how to use various Microsoft Team features. T-bot is a chat partner that helps team members to get the most out of Microsoft Teams. You simply ask a question in natural language, and the T-bot replies with the most relevant answer. Do I add a new team? And again, how do I create a new team? So a little bit more interactive than our normal help that we would have in some of the applications. So that's our chatting. So we've got the ability to do a group chat, individual chat, and also get our help from the T-bot. Let's go to meetings. Oh, we kind of touched on meetings. I don't think I'll go and touch that again. But again, that meetings using Skype. So built-in Skype voice and video capabilities provide ad hoc team meetings that anyone can see and join right within the chat stream. Megan can instantly turn a chat into an online call. The call includes video, screen sharing, and similar features found in Skype for Business for making meetings engaging and productive. Again, we can either do a meet now, or you can schedule that meeting as you like. So much like you would do in your Outlook or in your Office 365 mail, we can book those meetings and have those calls. That search, again, if I'm looking for a particular conversation that we had, I can go ahead and put launch in there, and it's going to find all of the conversations that happen to be there. So that's in conversations. Actually, I should go back here, and this is where we want to be searching. So if I go click on conversations and I click in here and say launch, there's my conversations. If I click on files, it's going to bring up all the files that have launch in it, etc. So if I had various assets and content in there, it's going to be able to go and find that through that search, which is very helpful. So looking at Teams allows me to, again, provide a collaborative environment where everyone can work together. When I go back, and we'll go back to Teams, again, I've just got these two simple teams set up here, the marketing and the product launch event. When I went into my marketing, again, it's tracking all those conversations and the files, and I can have that planning board attached in there. So again, very full-featured in that sense. Looking at my meetings, seeing what meetings I've got scheduled and coming up. So again, I can plan out my day and book those meetings. So scheduling a meeting in here, and the chats and all of my activities that are going on for overall for all of my teams. So that's a quick overview about Teams in general and how we can leverage it. Again, from any device, any, whatever browser you want to use or the app, and how I was able to converse with Lydia going back and forth, and we can see that information. There's two new chats that came through and an activity stream there. So lots of great things to explore and examine there through Teams, and we use Teams a lot internally. What I think one of the things I like the most is the fact that I can save, even if I've saved a file on OneDrive, I'm not saving it again here. I'm just, providing access to that from here. So when I go and look at my files, this is actually shared. It's either going to be shared out or stored, not shared, stored up on SharePoint or on my OneDrive. So again, it's linking it back to there. I'm not saving a copy in Teams and in somewhere else and somewhere else. It's one file that we're all sharing and working on collaboratively. Again, if I've shared that out. Also, what I find very helpful is when we're having conversations. I didn't show the emailing capability, but when you're having those teams, you can have emails going back and forth regarding that particular team. And you've got that information there. So I don't have to go searching through my entire, all my emails to try and find that email that was regarding, the product launch. I can simply find that really quickly and easily through going to my teams and doing a search. This has been very salesy and marketing. This is the marketing team or sales team at this fictitious company. But you can imagine we're using it throughout your organization, whether it be in operations, finance, sales, and marketing. So now we're going to go and talk a little bit about Power BI. Power BI, I did a session completely on Power BI, but last time when we got together, we didn't touch on Power BI, so I thought it would be kind of interesting to touch on that today. So we'll just go ahead and minimize that. And we're going to go over to Power BI. So Power BI Desktop is a free tool that you can use. And then Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium can be part of your Office 365 licensing, depending on which type of license that you might have. So again, I'm logged on as Megan. You can see that Megan's picture there, and it lets me know that I am logged in as Megan. So I'm going to go through a little bit about Power BI. This one's an operational board that I'm looking at. So we're going to talk about that. We'll just give you a little bit of blurb about this first before I go in and do the demo. So with Power BI, operations teams can monitor all aspects of their business, identify areas that require attention, and gain new insight from their data. Operations can monitor inventory performance with key product indicators to gain insight into product turnover, inventory, and sales so that they can better meet market demand. So this report gives the operations organization insight into the important inventory metrics for the worldwide store and warehouse locations. So interesting that the data that's being surfaced up here, that visual, it's very pleasing. It can really grab your attention quickly of areas that need addressing. And again, because this is a global company, or the data is based on a global company, very interesting. We've got that ability to have that, that power map there so we can see that information. So I'm going to click on, I've got inventory performance showing right at the moment. And so the first thing we've got is a chiclet slicer at the top to filter the report data. So we can view the data for the retail channel by collecting store. So I'm going to click on store, and you'll see that the information changes. So the report shows the average inventory amount and the cost of goods sold across all stores. Right below the amount are the KPIs for inventory turnover and inventory period. So we've got that information there in the next section. Inventory turnover indicates how many times the inventory is sold over the course of the year. The inventory period shows the number of days it took on average to sell the inventory. A lower number is better. Both KPIs are indicators of how efficient the organization operates. So we've got that quick, really easy. It's I didn't have to dig for that information. I didn't have to flip through pieces of paper to find the data that I'm looking for. And again, easy to change how the format is. We had shown in our Power BI presentation before of being able to quickly change it. For example, if I don't want a pie chart or I don't want a bar graph, maybe I do want the data and the numbers, you can easily and quickly change that. So I'm going to go ahead and click deselect store, and then I'm going to click reseller. So again, the data changes immediately. So the chart on the right shows order, inventory, and lost sales quantities over the course of a year. So again, I've got 3 metrics all together on one graph. So you can see during the holiday season at the end of the year, we were losing significant sales because inventory cannot meet the order quantities. So again, that gives us an indicator that, great, we need to have that ability to take into account seasonality when we're ordering our products. So again, that quickly gives that visual indicator. I'm going to take off reseller. Now we're going to go ahead and use the continent slicer to filter the report for Europe. So again, I've got the ability, these are my slicers here, so I've got those categories again, so if I want to drill down and find more information about that. And this is a continent slicer, so I'm going to go ahead and pick Europe. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill into Hamburg. So again, you can see that data changes. So using the map, we can select an individual store or warehouse location to filter the report data down to that level. So we chose Hamburg. The chart on the right shows the fill rate and inventory period by product. The fill rate indicates as a percentage how many orders we fully filled or shipped for a given product. For the Hamburg warehouse, we have a very low fill rate for wall frames and wardrobes, indicating an inventory problem. So So again, I can address that. Oh, my wall frames. There we go, wall frames and wardrobes. And again, you can hover over that. Gives you that different bit of information, that feedback. So the inventory period chart shows that floor lamps and outdoor decor are slow-moving items at the Hamburg warehouse. So again, I've got the ability to see what's moving, what's not moving for particular. And it shows you when I'm hovering there how long that's been in inventory, how many periods that's been in inventory. So again, I can quickly see. Gives me lots and lots of information. So we'll go and deselect Europe so that we're back on the entire world. With Power BI operations teams, we're going to go over to another slide here, or another, not a slide, but another dashboard. So with Power BI, operations teams can monitor all aspects of their business, identifying areas that require attention and gain new insight from their data. So operations can gain insight into sales and product analysis as well as supply and demand, help them make the right decisions. So let's move on to the sales and operations planning. So again, that was inventory performance. Again, gave us a view of how our inventory is performing. And now we're going to go over and look at the sales and operations planning. So this report gives operations teams insight into demand and supply performance for the different channels and products. At the top left of our report, we have two demand performance indicators, demand forecast accuracy and the percentage of obsolete stock. So currently right now, they both look good based on our metrics. Again, those metrics are going to be unique and individual to every business. Right below, we have two supply performance indicators, the manufacturing conformance, which indicates how reliable our manufacturing process is or is not. The delivered in full on-time chart shows that only 52% of all orders were fully shipped and on time. That is well below the target. Except mine's not showing up. It's supposed to be showing up there. So delivered on-time trend, I'm not seeing that there, so my data is not coming through. I apologize for that. So we're going to go and we've got the demand forecast accuracy, we've got that, obsolete stock, manufacturing conformance, 96%, great, delivered in full and on time. Oh, here it was, sorry, I was looking down here. So here's where they've set the bar. So again, you can see that you're sending your individual, and so again, you can configure that. So when you're having your metrics and your data is coming across, you're choosing your KPIs and what's acceptable and what's not. And so quickly, anyone in the organization can look at this and go, oh, okay, now I can go and do some investigation and find out why aren't my orders being shipped, fully shipped on time as I'm expecting it to be. So over to the right of the report, the demand forecast accuracy chart shows a breakdown by product. There's our breakdown of products. Even though the overall accuracy is 96%, we are not forecasting the demand for some of our products very well. So for example, candles or cocktail glasses are only at 62 and 60-something%. So you can see there on the lower. And again, I've used the heat map to let me know that those are the items I really need to drill in further and find out what's going on. So again, overall, I might be happy with my whole product mix. And as you see, we move over this way, you can see that we're done really, really well on some products, other products not so well. But it gives me that ability to see all of that. So over to the right in the social media sentiment by product chart, we can see that the sentiments for candles is somewhat mixed, which could be related to their poor demand forecasting and orders not being fulfilled. So again, we've got that feed coming in, again, connecting to whatever applications or services that are gathering that social media sentiment and allowing us to get immediate feedback about our business. So we've got that category slicer, and if I wanted to click on furniture, you can see now my all of my KPIs, that information is changing. So we notice that the manufacturing conformance dropped to 75%, whereas it was 92 before, based on that one product. And the demand forecast numbers look more accurate for some of our other product lines. While our dining furniture is perceived as very positive, we're seeing more neutral sentiments for bathroom and outdoor furniture. So again, you've got that ability to look at, delve further into the overall product mix or services that you're providing, and having those categories so that I can then analyze that easier. And we've got our cost versus revenue by product. Again, as we go and select those different components here, the information changes down below, so I can analyze that. And you've got the ability to open that up to have it on focus mode, ability to drill down on all of this. But I was just going to give you a high level overview of what you can do and provide to your team members and all the different decision makers within the organization. Oh my gosh, my time. I see 2 topics there, and oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Jess. I know I've got to hurry up here. I just looked at the clock. So I'm rambling on here. Okay, a couple of things I wanted to, little things that will help deployment and adoption of these applications. Just want to show you something kind of continuing on to our theme about dogs and dog training, because I'm training my puppy. We talked about last time we were doing PowerPoint and Sway. Get my words mixed up. Collaboratively working on a document. So again, I'm working on this document, but also is my coworker. She wants to work on this document as well. So she's in here and she's adding some content. And again, I can add some content here, and when I'm over here, you can see that I'm also editing. Lydia is also editing that, and I can actually chat with Lydia right here in this application. So I'm working in Word Online, and I can go and have a chat. Hi, Lydia. Did you take Bolt for a walk? I am running late. If we go over to, and there's the message gone to Lydia. So again, I can go ahead and respond to that or ignore that chat. So we've got that co-authoring. We're working on the same document. And if I'm adding something at the same time as Lydia's, it'll say, you know, who's going to be able to accept that. You know, do you want to accept Lydia's content? So very, very interesting there. Really like that idea. Something in here, this isn't new, but it's new for touch devices. So for example, tablets or your iPhone, your iPad. I'm sure that most of you have used this before, but if I go and hit, and I hope you can see that, if I go Control P, my mouse turns to a laser pointer and also will draw. But if you're on a touch device, wherever you're touching with your finger, that can be that laser pointer or drawing lines on there. So I just wanted to quickly show that. And I don't want to keep my ink annotations. So I thought that was really interesting. There was one other thing I was going to show you, and I forgot. Oh, I know, from OneNote. When we're working in OneNote, we can directly from there make appointments or tasks. So in that ability to be in here and say, great, what would I like to do with that? So we've got that ability. So instead of, again, making, maybe it's a Wunderlist to-do list, or I'm making a list of things that have to be done in OneNote, or I'm at a meeting and I'm, furiously taking notes about a meeting, I can actually go and, I don't have to go and re-enter that, I can connect that to. So for example, do I need to just go discuss that with someone? Do I need, it's a task, when does the task need to be done? That ability to have that immersed in that. And so when we saw last time we were together as well, our OneNote can live right inside of our teams as well. I wanted to touch on a whole lot more today. I didn't get a chance to, but I hope that's giving you a little bit more overview of the depth and functionality that Office 365 can bring to you and your team. And really, I want to touch back on that concept of moving from busy to productive, and really gravitating and taking advantage of all the different tools that you have available to you in Office 365. And I've only touched on a few. We talked about last day, we talked about Flow. We did touch on Yammer really quickly. We did spend a lot of time on Flow. Lots and lots of great content, lots of great resources available online, and I look forward to spending some more time with you all and looking at Office 365 a little bit more. And I hope that gave you an overview about Teams and Power BI. Please make sure that you're trying out Power BI, whether it be connected to your ERP data source or your CRM data source, or just an Excel file. Excel file. Lots of great flexibility there for your Power BI. You can connect it to a website if it's got the weather on it, etc. Lots of cool things you can do with Power BI. So I'll hand it back to you, Jess.
Awesome. That was great. Actually, as you're talking about busyness and productivity, there was a quote up, I think I saw it at a client's site, and it was one of my favorites now, but it says, "Busyness does not equate to business." And I was thinking that as you're going through this, like, absolutely, the transformation from being busy to productivity is such a huge change for a lot of businesses. We did have a couple questions come through, so if you've got a minute, Tracy, I'll just pop these over to you. We can get some of our attendees' questions answered. The first one is about Teams. It says, are the meetings between team members private, or does anyone in that team see and or hear it? Is there a history of it?
Great, great question. So when we made the team, there was that choice whether I could make it be private. So I was the only one that could invite team members, and then the other one was public, so that anyone in the organization could add people. So I would suggest that you make it private, so that you're the only person that can add it. If I have a conversation with you only, obviously if I'm having a group conversation, everyone in that group can see it. I'd have to follow up on that, Jess, because I'm not sure, can I have a private conversation that's saved in a team that no one else can see? I'd have to check that out. I want to say yes, but I don't want to say yes unless I confirm it. So could we just note that down and we'll find out?
Absolutely. That's excellent. The second one, also about Teams, says, can you search team conversations like you do in Outlook, like using date ranges and to from?
Yes.
Awesome. That was a simple answer. And then about Power BI, so it says, we have a lot of data from a lot of different areas. Can we build our own Power BI dashboards, or do we need to engage a partner? We don't have anyone who knows this yet. Is it better to train or just have a partner do it for us?
I think we're always taking the perspective that it's good for us to help you be able to fish for yourself. We always want, we want to help our clients, but we don't want to do the work for them. We want to teach them how to use those tools. So we have a lot of clients that have Office 365 and are starting to use Power BI, and we give them some basic training. There's a couple things to think about when we've got lots of data, and our team, our BI team, can best advise you on that, whether it's important to. Sometimes we don't want Power BI to be hitting the data source all the time, and will it take a snapshot? And so they can make the best recommendations when you have large volumes of data. How do you want to optimize that, and how are you going to surface that up into Power BI? That's a great question. We want to make sure that you know how to use the tool set, because if we do it, or your partner, not necessarily it's going to be us, but if your partner always holds the power, you're never going to learn and feel like you can really stand behind that product and really feel confident about taking ownership of it. And I think that's always been an encore value, is making sure that our clients can take ownership of their solutions.
That's very well said. Excellent. And that is the last question so far. We'll just give people one more minute to kind of gather their thoughts and possibly add add something else. So just very quickly, I wanted to show just some resources here that we have for you, and also, as I mentioned before, having having a little bit more information about some of the webinars that we have coming up. So these are some of the resources we just threw together for you about Microsoft Teams, about Power BI. Power BI, there's a Get It Free link that does get it, just have it available to you immediately. I believe there's a light tutorial there. There's also plenty of videos that go over some of the basics. Microsoft's very big about adding those videos to YouTube and then having plenty of links throughout their websites. So these might get you started if you want a little bit more hands-on self-tutorial. And then about the webinars, we do have a couple coming up by the end of the year. We have an overview of Dynamics 365 for Finance and Operations Business Edition. I'm not sure if any of you have been thinking about that new jump, but that is a newer product coming out, and there's a lot more information about it, as well as a pretty interesting demo. We also have what's new in Dynamics GP 2018 coming up in December. There's a lot of information that's going to be launched about that very soon from Microsoft. We hope to capture as much of it as possible and give you a good look. And then we have a ton of other webinars coming out throughout 2018, as I mentioned, every other week. We are going to be giving you a lot of information about those webinars in our newsletter. If you're not signed up for our newsletter, you don't believe you're receiving it, you can just pop me a note, even in this questions pane here available to you, the chat pane here, or I will be sending you a follow-up email about this webinar soon after. You can just respond to me, make sure you get that newsletter. It's going to be a really easy, once a month in your inbox way to find out what's coming up throughout the month and even the next month. And make sure you get signed up before we hit our registration caps. We will also have a page on our website that you can always take a look at when you feel inclined to do so, and that will be fully launched by the beginning of the year. And so I don't see any other questions come through. Here, once again, is Tracy's information. I think Tracy would echo me that you're always welcome to reach out, especially with questions about what we saw today. And as I said, I will have a follow-up email for you with the deck from today, which I know is very few slides, but does have some relevant information, a link to the recording of today's webinar, and then just a little bit more information. Feel free to respond to that if you have any questions or suggestions about our webinar series. We really want this to be super valuable to you and make sure that your time is very well spent. So your feedback is very much appreciated. And Tracy, thank you so much for some great content. That was exciting stuff, and I'm actually going to go jump into Teams and poke around a little bit more.
Well, I'm looking forward to working on Teams with you, Jess, because I think it can really add a lot of value and make us a lot more productive as a company for Encore. And that's what makes it easy, I think, for us to evangelize about Office 365 is because we use it so much. So I hope you got something out of this today, everyone, and I look forward to connecting with all of you at any time.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. And hopefully we will see you on another webinar soon. Have a great day.